Good night. So, a couple of things. First of all, just general knowledge. So, some of you are wondering about the remote charger. This is reality. It's not science fiction. It's not futurism. It's installed in every room in any apartment where I stay, including here. Like here you see that I've blocked recently blocked the lamp with just a large piece of cardboard, and this is greatly reduces the effect. But if, for example, I remove it, like yesterday I removed it for some purpose, and then I forgot to replace it. So just this evening I just lay on just like I do now, and I suddenly it just started again. Just a tech that greatly reduces your your ability to do everything, and you become very tired and just want to sleep. And I didn't want to go to sleep because it was too early. So I understood what's going on, and I reinserted it and took a shower and replaced my clothes, and I feel better now. So it's like that, and it also works. When the light is off, like it's something with the lamp. It does not depend on like the lamp actually like on, and it's like that in every room, including in the balcony. So today I also cover the balcony with the lights with a piece of cloth or something, but you need to actually to gamble where it is, like in the room, because it doesn't have to be like inside the lamp, like inside it makes sense, but it doesn't have to be there. So yes, that's my life. For many years now, torture, horrible physical torture all the time, and I can't even leave this place because I'm under arrest, as you remember. Although I was mistaken, in two things that I should correct. First, a couple of days ago, I said, I just slipped. It wasn't. I said, it's something that is. It's demonstrably wrong. I spoke quickly, and it was on the issue that I did not come from Venus, and I'm not like a male Venusian. For a long time they thought that I'm like a female Venusian in Israel that underwent some kind of like sex change, which is ridiculous. But I spoke about it on the Twitter stage and the application, and I called it. It's under it was, if you remember, when I introduced the term wizard. But let's put it aside for now. It's actually interesting, but no, I'm not this kind. And later, they admit, okay, he's a male, but he's a male from Venus. And I said that it's obviously not true, and for many reasons. But one of the reasons that I presented is the fact that I have the neurons in my body, and I said, they don't have that in their body. And this is obviously wrong. I spoke too quickly. They do, surely they do have it, but in much lower quantity, and they have no idea how to use it. But moreover, mostly their quantity is much lower. Of course they have it because the Israelis ate them. Since like the 1950s at least. There was a whole cannibalism affair regarding the male titans, and I've referred to it many times. So that the Israelis actually ate the males, it's the most horrible thing that ever happened in Israel. So of course, they did it because of the nanobots. But they have it in a very low quantity, and of course they. It's not like me that I have it in much, like if I pee or if I ejaculate, relatively large amount is can be collected, as you've seen already. And with great capabilities. Also, the dependence of the female titans on this material, how could it be done? How could it be like a thing if, it weren't like something that was, existed in the body of the males, or in other, sources in Venus, but first of all, in the body of the males. It's impossible that, the whole species would be like evolved with dependency on like members of other species. So, it's just I spoke too quickly. Of course, they have it, but in much lower quantities. And So by the giant quantities that I have in my body is probably the best, like, I mean, proof that I belong to a third species. But there are also many, like, I mean, circumstances, like many, like, other, like, additional arguments that can strengthen this claim. Mostly, I mean, as far as I know, all of them came from Venus. Like, all of them came from Venus, and they did it, like, through the gate. And the Israelis never allowed them to actually to breed here, like, I mean, males and females. And they actually, I mean, they were punished, I mean, greatly. I mean, the people of the Shabak and the Mossad, I mean, punished by, I mean, both men and women punished by not be able to have children. And I mean, most of the children are just either adopted or, I mean, or just titans that they actually, like, that's the case in my family, that, I mean, they had to adopt titans because, I mean, and also, I mean, they received some compensation from the government and probably some compensation from foreign government, like the United States of America, that during the 80s took, like, responsibility of the mother, but did a very bad job. And that's the main reason why I have such a hatred towards the government of the United States. And I've spoken about it a lot during the last year, that they were responsible since at least the early 80s, and I mean, torture doesn't stop, it's only getting worse. But yeah, I mean, this is an issue. It's a very interesting issue, but I've already spoken about it a lot, so I don't want to repeat myself. But in short, like, part of the scandal, I mean, of that, I mean, like, the hero or the protagonist was the person that I called my predecessor, which I know nothing about, but I mean, I only know that his life was very similar to mine in many key aspects, and mostly in the aspects of being tortured by the Israelis, in being totally defamed and completely, like, his name was completely trashed by the people of Israel, but he was Israeli, grew up in Israel, and served in the military, and they treated him like shit, and of course did all the regular stuff, and invented that he was pedophile and homosexual, and, you know, the normal stuff. And some of what I did, like, during the last 2 years or 2 years and a half, were reenactment of things that he've already also done. And part of at least some of the reenactments took, like, were like in location. I mean, Israel is a very small country, and I mean, all the important places are, I mean, pretty much the same as they were during the 1980s. And I grew up in Ramat Aviv, which is a very central place, like, and so, like, and close to most of the important, like, places that, I mean, relate to the issue of the Titans. So I mean, reenactments was, I mean, like, one man reenactment was actually, it was easier than, I mean, of course it required divination and siyata dishmaya, like, help of God, but I mean, the logistics aren't that complicated because it's such a small country, and because, I mean, the center is, I mean, what we call the center is very, very, very small, and because I know the places very well because I grew up in those places, like, I mean, and, like, I have a very good, like, knowledge, I mean, of the important places in Israel, like, I mean, Tel Aviv, and the important places in Tel Aviv and Ramat and Jerusalem, and so it wasn't that difficult to do the reenactment, and I still do it. I mean, as you know, and I still learn stuff from it. So I mean, part of like the punishment for them was not being able to have children, and of course they didn't learn anything in all. They are only worse. They are Nazis and scumbags, and but now it will be. I mean, it will not be. I mean, now, I mean, it will be all of the Israelis without discrimination. I mean, it's not like, I mean, it's not. It doesn't make sense that the Israelis will I mean, categorically forbid, like, other species from having children, and I mean, will not. I mean, we serve the same kind of dish And this is without discrimination between Mossad or Shabak or people that ate the Neros or didn't eat the Neros. I mean, now, I mean, it's the whole country is on the plate. I mean, of course, it's just one step before the whole world will be on the plate. So yeah, I mean, so they didn't allow them to actually to breed, and that's why they they can't have children, both men and women of this generation, including, for example, my like adopted parents, and also, I mean, many are of like, I mean, their acquaintances, I mean, and from that generation. They also can't have sex, but I mean, that's another issue, which of course is related because they didn't allow us, I mean, well, it's not like Venusians to have sex. So the question is, where did I come from? I mean, if I came from Venus, how is it possible? Like, I mean, because it is known that many, like all of them, all of the males that came from Venus, they exhibit like a series of very like pronounced behaviors and vulnerabilities. And it's not very difficult to know what they are, because the Israelis always, when they think that you are one of them, like all of them always, like, I mean, press all the buttons that they think that, I mean, causes you the most pain. Because, I mean, they are worse than Nazis. They will do, I mean, just anyone in the street that will think that you are like a male titan will, I mean, they do anything they can just, I mean, to make you suffer according to what they know that you are vulnerable to. So, I mean, it was very quickly that I understood, I mean, what are actually the vulnerabilities of the titans, or at least the male titans. And I've spoken about it at great lengths. I don't want to, again, to repeat myself, because it's an issue that, I mean, it was, I mean, again, I took the time, like, during the last year and a half to hold, like, many, like, I mean, journeys in Israel. I mean, and when I have the leasing, I mean, and at one point, I bought, like, not bought, but like rented in leasing the Tesla Model 3, which is kind of like a modern car, and so, which allowed me, I mean, to drive a lot. I mean, much more than I could have with the Peugeot that I had before, 208, and so it allowed me to drive like the great lengths in Israel. So I had many like revelations and like adventures, and this was documented in like in Twitter, in Facebook, and my personal Evernote account, Gmail. So, I mean, part of the thing was that I spoke about like the vulnerabilities of the titans, and it wasn't. Again, it's not that difficult, because I mean, that's all the things that they actually do to you. You understand that that's what I mean. The basic stuff is everything that's related to fire. For some reasons, they think that, I mean, probably true that they are really, I mean, vulnerable to fire. So they stick fire in your face whenever they can. And I myself, I don't have any problem with fire. I mean, on the contrary, I think that I'm actually much less vulnerable to fire than the average Homo sapiens, which is funny. And I have like, and since I was a child, I always like to like Baomer, you know, to hold, like to burn things, and like I like fire. I mean, not like in a pervert way, but I mean, you know, I mean, I like, I mean, before my change of heart towards vegetarianism and veganism, I also really liked like mangals, like barbecues, and I've done it many times, and like, yeah, but they always did it to me, so I understood that they had issues with fire. And although they have issues with kind of like foreign languages, I mean, especially like Arabic and Russian, which are common in Israel, but I mean, they are like vulnerable to, they are afraid of it for some reason, and maybe just they lack education. I don't know. I don't speak those language, but I don't have problem with foreign language. At one time I spoke like even Spanish, like in addition to Hebrew and English, also Spanish at like pretty high proficiency, but lamentably I lost a lot of it because I don't have time, since like, I mean, I don't have time to exercise. I mean, I don't listen to Spanish and do not read Spanish text, but I'm sure that, I mean, if I have like an opportunity to like maybe live in Spanish speaking environment, it will some of it, at least some of it, or maybe most of it will come back to me. Because I had pretty high proficiency in both speaking and reading, but I mean, just lost it just by not practicing. But yeah, so I mean, I do not demonstrate any of the weaknesses that Titan males like exhibit, and it does not prove that I'm not a Titan, but I think that it proves like in very high, like certainty that I wasn't born in there, in Venus. So, and if I wasn't born in there, but I was born in here, this means that, I mean, this requires a male Titan to actually, like, have sex with a female Titan, one like 1984 in Israel, which is something that was impossible because, I mean, it was just impossible at the time, and actually at any other time. So, no, I'm not a male Titan. I did not come from Venus. I am a third species. But again, it's not true that like those nanobots do not exist in Venus. Of course they do, because otherwise, I mean, how is it possible? I mean, for what reason like the females need it? It's like how is it like came to be? Just a minute. Ken? Now, another thing that I was wrong about is that I accused all of you of only giving me advice, and no one actually gives me money. So I actually went to the bank, and apparently my bank account is closed. So actually, even if some of you wanted to actually send me money, it was impossible. Because I mean, I don't even have a bank account now. They closed my bank account. Probably they wanted like, as like part of like, terminating my command with extreme prejudice, which is an ongoing project in Israel, which is very sad. Not that it removes any like guilt from from any of my listeners, because you should have taken care that I will have money long ago, instead of send all the money to the Nazis in Israel to enrich their pockets of the people that tortured me for so long. But so the blame is only for many years of sending money to the Nazis instead of helping their victims. And this is particularly true to Titan females that were actually themselves were victims of Israelis. And I don't know, now that they are free, they forgot like what they did to them, and like why don't they were the first that should have helped me. And I spoke about it in the past, that it's a great disappointment of the females that live abroad, and of the Titan race in general, which I do not belong to that race, even though I identify with that, just because I'm also a slave of the Israeli Nazis scumbags. So yeah, currently you can't even send me money, even if you wanted to. Even if only, the situation is very difficult, very, very difficult. Okay, so I should continue today with more experiments with VAX. Now it will be with VAX boxes inside of bigger VAXes boxes, which it's as you understand, and also with electrolysis, and of course it resembles. It signifies human bodies that are developed inside other human bodies, and there is like this will be limited to Israel for now, but there will be no delivery in Israel. That's for certain. And I hope to get out of here as quickly as possible.